The study of erotic undergarments in classical antiquity offers a compelling glimpse into the interplay between fashion, sexuality, and social norms in ancient Greece and Rome. Clothing has long been more than a functional necessity. It is a marker of identity, class, and cultural ideology. In both societies, intimate apparel and erotic dress played significant roles in constructing ideas of femininity, seduction, and power. While the Greeks often adhered to a more austere and body-conscious aesthetic, the Romans embraced a broader range of materials and decorative elements, leading to more elaborate expressions of eroticism through clothing. The distinction between modesty and allure in intimate garments reveals a nuanced understanding of sexuality, particularly regarding gender roles and social hierarchies. By analyzing literary sources, artistic depictions, and archaeological findings, it becomes evident that erotic undergarments in antiquity were more than mere accessories. They functioned as tools of seduction, symbols of status, and, at times, instruments of control over the female body. In ancient Greece, women's undergarments were relatively simple in design but carried significant cultural meaning. The primary form of intimate wear was the strophion, a band of fabric wrapped around the chest, functioning as a precursor to the modern bra. It was typically made from soft wool or linen and was tied at the back or fastened with pins. The strophion was essential for supporting the breasts, especially among younger women, and was sometimes adjusted to flatten or lift the bust, depending on societal ideals of beauty. Greek literature and visual representations suggest that while everyday women wore the strophion for practicality, it held erotic connotations when donned in specific contexts. In Aristophanes' Lysistrata, for instance, women used their allure as a weapon, and descriptions of disrobing the strophion are intertwined with seduction. Furthermore, terracotta figurines from the 5th and 4th centuries BCE depict Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, wearing the strophion in a manner that accentuates her sensuality. These depictions indicate that eroticism was embedded within this seemingly modest piece of clothing. Additionally, the act of unfastening or removing the strophion is often linked to sexual activity in Greek art and poetry. In erotic vase paintings from the classical period, courtesans and heterae, or high-status courtesans, are shown unclasping their breastbands as a prelude to intimacy. This imagery underscores the symbolic weight of the strophion, transforming it from a garment of modesty to an object of desire. Another significant Greek undergarment with erotic undertones was the zona, a belt or girdle tied around the waist. The zona was not only a functional garment but also a symbol of chastity and femininity. In many marriage ceremonies, a bride's zona was ceremonially untied by the groom, representing the transition from maidenhood to marital sexuality. This act is frequently referenced in Greek poetry, particularly in wedding hymns where it signifies the unveiling of the bride's body. However, the zona was also associated with sexual allure when worn suggestively. Some Greek heterae were known to tie their zona in intricate knots or let it hang loosely, creating an air of seduction. This fashion choice is evident in vase paintings and sculptures where women with loosely draped waistbands exude an unmistakable eroticism. Mythological accounts, such as the girdle of Aphrodite, further reinforce the sensual significance of such garments. In Homer's Iliad, Hera borrows Aphrodite's girdle to enhance her beauty and charm Zeus, demonstrating how intimate apparel could symbolize divine seduction. The Romans, inheriting and expanding upon Greek fashion sensibilities, developed a more varied approach to erotic undergarments. One of the most notable pieces of Roman intimate wear was the mammillare, a tight-fitting band worn around the chest. Similar in function to the Greek strophion, the mammillare was often made from leather or soft fabric, providing both support and aesthetic appeal. Roman women, particularly those involved in performances or entertainment, sometimes wore this garment in ways that emphasized the shape of their bodies. Unlike Greek society, where exposed breasts were often idealized in art, Roman women's fashion leaned towards controlled exposure. The mammillare allowed them to shape and manipulate their figure, often compressing larger breasts to align with prevailing beauty standards. This garment was also popular among female gladiators, suggesting that its utility extended beyond eroticism to physical activity. However, its presence in erotic poetry, particularly in the works of Ovid and Martial, underscores its function as an intimate and sensual article of clothing. The fascia pectoralis, another chest band, functioned similarly but was often broader and wrapped tightly to provide more structure. This garment appears in satirical depictions of older women trying to maintain youthful appearances, indicating an awareness of aging and beauty through lingerie. The satirical poet Juvenal mocks women who use fascia to manipulate their figures, demonstrating the cultural importance of undergarments in shaping both bodies and perceptions. Beyond chest bindings, Roman undergarments also included the subligaculum, a loincloth or undertunic worn by both men and women. While practical for athletes and laborers, the subligaculum held distinct erotic significance when worn by women, particularly courtesans and dancers. Made from fine linen or silk, some variations of the subligaculum were designed to be semi-transparent, revealing more than they concealed. The erotic nature of this garment is evident in frescoes from Pompeii and Herculaneum, where women, often identified as performers or prostitutes, are depicted wearing diaphanous versions of the subligaculum. Some surviving textile fragments suggest that wealthier women commissioned elaborately embroidered versions, sometimes adorned with pearls or gold threads, enhancing their appeal. Roman literature also references this garment in the context of seduction. Ovid's Ars Amatoria describes how women can utilize their clothing to tantalize lovers, a testament to the role of intimate apparel in romantic encounters. In both Greek and Roman cultures, intimate clothing was not limited to fabric alone, but was often enhanced with sensual accessories. Wealthy women scented their undergarments with exotic perfumes, a practice documented by Pliny the Elder, who describes how delicate linens were infused with myrrh or cinnamon to leave a lingering fragrance on the skin. This attention to detail transformed undergarments into tools of seduction, stimulating not only the visual but also the olfactory senses. Fastenings and clasps, often made of gold or ivory, further enhanced the erotic appeal of lingerie. Roman women sometimes wore intricately designed fibulae, brooches, to hold their garments in place, adding an element of ritualized undressing to the intimate experience. The act of undoing such fastenings, much like the Greek Zona, symbolized the gradual unveiling of the body, heightening the anticipation of intimacy. The societal perception of erotic undergarments varied according to class and status. In both Greek and Roman societies, respectable women were expected to maintain a level of modesty, and their intimate apparel remained largely concealed. However, courtesans and performers often manipulated lingerie to accentuate their erotic appeal. The distinction between these groups is evident in surviving visual and textual sources. Greek hetairai used undergarments strategically to control the pace of seduction, while Roman courtesans employed sheer fabrics and elaborate fastenings to enhance their desirability. This dichotomy extended to marital life, where erotic lingerie was sometimes used to rekindle desire within established relationships. Roman love poetry frequently alludes to the role of intimate clothing in marital seduction, indicating that such garments were not solely for the pleasure of courtesans, but also played a role in domestic passion. Erotic undergarments in classical antiquity were far more than functional attire. They were deeply intertwined with ideals of beauty, seduction, and power. Greek and Roman perspectives on intimate apparel reveal a complex relationship between modesty and eroticism, where the same garments could either conceal or enhance desire. The Strophion, Zona, Mammillare, and Subligaculum were not merely articles of clothing, but instruments of social signaling and sexual allure. Whether used by courtesans to entice lovers or by married women to sustain passion, these garments encapsulate the enduring interplay between fashion and eroticism in the ancient world.